This is the June 2012 paper, number algebra and geometry. No calculator to be used. Question 1 is an angles in parallel lines question. BDE is an isosceles triangle. That means two lengths are equal. DB is equal to DE. The straight line ABC is parallel to the straight line DEF. Work out the size of the angle marked X. Give reasons for each stage of your working out. Okay, I need to find that angle. Now what I know is that this is an isosceles triangle. And at the end of the equal sides of an isosceles triangle, you have what are called the base angles. Alright? And the base angles are always equal. So I don't know what that is, and I don't know what they are either yet. But what I do know is that they're equal to each other. So that's going to have something to do with it. First of all, I need to work out one of the base angles. Now, whilst it's tempting to try and work out the whole 180 thing up here, don't. It's a parallel lines question, so you should be thinking of your rules. Is there a Z anywhere? Is there the C anywhere? Is there the F anywhere? Corresponding, allied, and alternate. And it turns out that yes, in this case, we have a Z here between the two parallel lines. And that means that they are alternate angles because they're on alternative sides of the line that crosses through both parallels. And alternate angles are equal, so that there is 68 degrees. The reason is alternate angles are equal. Now, if I know that's 68 degrees, then I know that that is 68 degrees. And I know that DBE is 68 degrees because it equals DEB. And that is because base angles of an isosceles triangle are equal. So if I know that's 68 and that's 68, my final rule is to realise that this is a triangle in which there are 180 degrees. I know that's 68 and I know that's 68, so that's going to be what's left over. So angle X is equal to 180 degrees. Take away that 68, take away that 68, and that ends up giving you 44 degrees. The reason being there's 180 degrees in a triangle. And that's a 4-mark question. You get 1 mark for the 68 degrees seen. You get 1 mark for showing this part, the 180 part. You get an answer mark for showing the 44. And then you get the final communication mark for all of your reasons. So that's 4 marks. Question 2 is an nth term question. Here are the first 4 terms of a number sequence. Write an expression in terms of n for the nth term of this sequence. So you find the common difference. In this case, it goes up by 4 each time. So I write 4n down. Then I have to work out how do I go from my difference, which is 4, to the first number in that sequence, which is 6. So how can I get from 4 to 6? I add 2. And this is always a 2-mark question. You get 1 mark for having the 4n. You get 1 mark for having the +2. Question 3 is a ratio question. Graham and Michael share £35 in the ratio of 5 to 2. Work out the amount of money that Graham gets. So Graham and Michael, 5 to 2. First thing I need to do is find the total number of parts. So that's 5 add 2, which is 7 parts. Now I need to find out how much 1 part is worth. So there's £35 is the total amount of money divided by the 7 parts. That means that 1 part is worth £5. If 1 part is worth £5 and Graham's got 5 parts, it's 5 lots of £5, which gives Graham £25. If we wanted to know what Michael had, we could times his 2 parts by £5, which means that he has £10. But make sure that you do very clearly state which is your actual answer, because they want to know about Graham. So the answer is £25. And that is only a 2-mark question. You get 1 mark for showing that you can divide here. So by finding out what 1 part is worth, and then you get the second one for actually multiplying it by the correct number. Question 4 is adding fractions with different denominators. 2/5 plus 3/8. In order to add any fractions with different denominators, we need to first of all make the denominator the same. So I need to write them both out to the same number, because at the moment it's that's out of 5 and that's out of 8. So I need to pick a number that 5 and 8 both go into, and if in doubt, if you can't work it out, then always times them together. So I'm going to do the lowest number that 5 and 8 goes into. I'm going to say 40. Now what I need to do is work out how I went from this, which was 5, up to this, which was 40. And I timesed it by 8, so that means I have to do that to the top. So 2 times by 8 is going to be 16. And then here, how did I get from 8 to 40? Well, I timesed it by 5, so I do the same to the top. 3 times 5 is 15. That means then my answer is going to be out of 40, because these both are. And I can do 16 at 15 is 31. So the answer is 31 out of 40. That is its simplest form. I cannot cancel anymore. With regards to mark schemes, you get 1 mark for getting the denominators the same, and then you get your answer mark for getting the answer correct. Question 5 is a percentage decrease question. So a TV costs £400. Peter pays a deposit of 15%. A deposit is something that you put down on an item that you intend to buy, and you won't get that back. So he intends to buy the TV. He's paying the shop 15% as a promise that he's going to come back and buy the actual TV. How much does Peter still have to pay for the TV? So it costs £400. He's already paid 15%. We want to know how much is left. So this is going to be a takeaway question. First thing I have to do though is find what 15% equals. So first thing I'll do is find 10% of £400, which is £40. Then I'll find 5% of £400, which is half of 10%, so half of 40 is 20. Then to find 15%, I'll add them together, which will give me £60. So 15% is equal to £60. He's paid that £60. So what's he got left to pay? It was £400. He's paid off £60 of it. He's now left with £340 to pay. So the answer is 340. It's a 3-mark question. You get 1 mark for showing that you need a correct method of finding 15%. You get the 2nd mark then for actually having the subtraction shown, and then you get the final answer mark for getting 340. Question 6 is a factorising question, and to factorise means to remove the highest common factor from both terms and write it in a bracket. So I need to look at what goes into 10a and what goes into 5. Well, the highest number is 5. No letters go into both of them because 5 doesn't have any letters. So I'm going to do 5, open brackets. Now 5 times what is 10a? Well, 5 times 2 is 10, and then I need an a. And 5 times 1 is 5. So it's 5, open bracket, 2a plus 1. That's a 1 marker. For b, we need to expand and simplify these brackets. I always put my lines in because it stops me from getting lost. So 5 times x is 5x. 5 times positive 7 is positive 35. 3 times x is positive 3x. 3 times negative 2 is negative 6. I need to collect my like terms together. I've got a 5x and a positive 3x, so they'll go together to give me 8x. And I've got a plus 35 take away 6 is going to give me positive 29. It's a 2-mark question. You get 1 mark for expanding that bracket correctly or expanding that bracket correctly. So there's your first mark. And then your second mark is for getting the answer correct. Part C wants us to factorise this completely. Now, completely means that you make sure you take it right down to its lowest. So first thing I want to find is the highest common factor of both these terms. Now, they've both got A's in and they've both got B's in. So that means there are going to be letters on the outside of my bracket. So let's deal with the numbers first. What is the highest number that goes into 3 and 6? Well, that's 3. Then I've got an A squared there and an A there. So there's only one A that can go into both because only one A can go in there. And I've got a B there and a B squared there. But only one B can go into both because we're limited by that. So our outside highest common factor is 3AB. Now I need to decide what I times it by. So 3 times, I don't need to times it by anything because I've got the 3. A times A would give me the A square I need. And I don't need to times that B by anything else because I only wanted B. So the first term is going to be A. Add 3 times what is 6? Well, that's 2. A times what is A? Well, I don't need to times it by anything. And B times what is B squared? B. So factorised completely is 3AB, open bracket, A plus 2B. And this is also a 2-marker. You get 1 mark. So, well, you get 2 marks for showing that you know how to do the whole answer. If you haven't got it all correct, you get 1 mark for a partial factorising. So if you had realised, oh, well, I know 3 goes into both of those, so I'll have 3, and then I'll deal with all the letters, A squared B plus 2AB squared. That's called partial because you haven't removed the highest common factor. And there's a couple of different ways of doing that, and that would get you 1 mark. Question 7 is a multiplication question using decimals. So here's part of Joe's electricity bill. Work out how much Joe has to pay for the units she has used. So luckily it tells us here they've been very kind and they've given us number of units used. If they hadn't given us that, in order to find it we'd have to subtract the old meter reading from the new meter reading, and that would give us the difference. But first thing I'm going to do is write a statement for the examiner to say she's used 515 units and she has to pay 35 pence per unit. So 515 lots of 35 pence. In order to do this, I'm going to use my lattice method. That's where you have a square for each. So I've got 5, 1, 5 across the top. And I've got 35 down the side, and I'm going to make these into square grid where each number has its own column and row. Then I'm going to diagonally cut through them. And I'm going to add them up from this side when I'm done. So let's do the times in. 5 3s are 15. 1 3 is 3, 5 3 is 15. 5 5s are 20, 5, 1 5 is 5, 5 5s is 25. So now I'm going to add the diagonals up. In this diagonal, I've just got 5. In this diagonal, I've got 5, 10, 12. So I put my 2 down, carry my 1. In this diagonal now, I've got 5 and 3, which is 8. 9, 10 with the 1 I carried over. So that's now a 0, and I'm carrying another 1 over here. So now over here I've got 5, 7, 8. And then here I've just got 1. So I'm going to list all my numbers out. So from this side now, I've got 1, 8, 0, 2, 5. I need to put my decimal somewhere because that is in pence. I multiplied it by 35 pence. Now, to get from pence to pounds, I need to divide by 100. So that would be there. £180.25. This is a 4-mark question. You get 1 mark for showing that you knew you had to multiply them. That's why we wrote that there. You get 1 mark for a complete method with place value in, and you're allowed 1 multiplication error, and you get the 3rd mark for adding these parts up, and then you get the final answer mark for having £180.25. So I was a bit silly there. I didn't put the pound sign in. If I'd have written it on the answer line though, it would have been okay because they've got the pound sign. What wouldn't have been alright is if you'd written 180.25, because that would have to have the decimal. They would allow you, according to the mark scheme, they would allow you to have it in pennies as long as you'd got rid of the pound sign on the answer line. Question 8 is a total surface area question. So the diagram shows a triangular prism. It's a prism because it's a 3D shape with a uniform cross section. That means that triangle is running all the way through it. If you were to slice it like a loaf of bread, you'd get that same triangle at every point. They want us to work out the total surface area of this prism. Well, I need to know first of all how many surfaces are there. There's our base, there's this back wall, there's this slanty side, and there's the triangular front face and the triangular back face. So I need to work out the area of each of those faces, and then I need to add them together. So I'm going to start with the triangle face because it seems like the most obvious. So area of triangle equals half base times height. So that is a base of 5 and a height of 12. So that's half of 5 times 12. So that's half of 60, which is 30 centimetres squared. So one of the triangles is 30 centimetres squared. Now I've actually got that triangle and this triangle, and they're both the same, so they're both 30. So I've got 2 lots of that. So there's 60 centimetres squared in both triangles. Now I need to find the bottom, the back, and the slopey side. So let's call this the base. Let's find the area of the base. It's a rectangle, and it's a 5 by 20 rectangle. So the base is 5 times 20. Well, 5 times 2 is 10. And then I've got that extra 0. So the base is 100 centimetres squared. I'm going to do now the back. And that's again a rectangle. And it's got a height of 12 and a base of 20. So 20 times by 12. 10 times by 12 is 120. And then I double it, which would be 240 centimetres squared. So that's the back wall. Now I need to do this slopey side. Let's call it the slope. And that's again a rectangle. And this length here is 13 and this is 20. So that's going to be 13 times 20. Well, 13 times 10 would be 130. And then I double it, which would give me 260 centimetres squared. Now I've done all those bits, I can find the total surface area, and that'll be my 60 from the 2 triangles, and the 100 from the base, and the 240 from the back, and the 260 from the slopey side. And when I've added them together, they'll give me 660 centimetres squared. Question 8 is worth 3 marks. The first mark is for finding any one of the areas correctly and showing your method to do that. The second mark is for showing that you're adding them all together. In order to get the mark, you need at least 3 of them correct and added together. And then your third mark is for the actual answer. They have given you centimetres squared on the answer line, so you will not get a mark for that.